You're listening to episode 301 of Mitolife Radio. I'm Matt Blackburn. Today I'm excited to have Kris Sweeting back on the show. The last time I interviewed him was 3 years ago, episode 98, titled The Healing Effects of Red and UV Light. In this show with him, I really wanted to focus in on ultraviolet light specifically because he's made some really innovative, truly innovative devices. Like myself, I do that with Mitolife, not private labeling a water filter, but actually building one from scratch. And he seemed to do that with his Krypton UV lights. So it's actually red and near infrared light, like a red light therapy panel. But what's unique about his Krypton product is it integrates ultraviolet A and UVB wavelengths. And using the Philips bulbs, which are fluorescent, proven, scientifically proven bulbs that are efficacious and have pretty profound effects on biology. But he took it a step further and actually put them behind a protective barrier, because the UV lights that I've used over the years, they all had exposed fluorescent lights, and these fluorescent lights contain mercury. And if they fall, say there's an earthquake or cat or animal knocks it over and it falls and breaks, that's a real hazard for your health. So it's really cool that he created a safe product, both in terms of the mercury, but also in terms of protecting your DNA from ultraviolet damage. So it uses a specific narrowband 311 peak wavelength. And he talks about in this show how that is the safest wavelength for UV light and gets into the details of why. But it's a really cool show for anybody that lives in a northern climate like myself. I'm here in North Idaho, where you have 4 seasons and you don't see a UV index like I won't for the next 4 months or so. So it's a game changer to have in the winter. And also, if you just work an office job, a lot of people just cannot get outdoors because of their monetary situation. So this is a great option to get that really healing UV light, but also be protected with the red while you use it. So in this show, he talks about his history of having vitiligo at age 3, how he grew up with tanning beds since he was 5 years old. He talks about the human photoprotective response and the harmful effects of wearing sunscreen. He talks about the effect of UVB light on melanin. He shares why he's not a fan of tanning beds, why you have to be careful with UVC light. Then I asked Kris how long I should use his Krypton light, why he put a 5-minute timer in there on the lights, but why there's some individuality with how you use it. And we talk about a lot of other things, blocking blue light with glasses, how you can use his red light therapy devices at a distance. He addresses some of the haters that he gets about his products, and I ask him some challenging questions that I've gotten from competing product owners. Talk about indoor lighting options. He shares why he likes vitamin C and E. And then I ask a few listener questions. I always have a lot of fun talking with Kris. This was really overdue. You guys will love it. Here is Kris Sweeting. All right, Kris Sweeting, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. It's been a while, a couple years.
At least 3 years, I think. It's been
something like that.
Yeah, you've been coming out with a lot of new products, and I have as well. And it's
not as many as some companies, though. You know,
yeah.
but I've had the opportunity to release a lot more products. I just kind of want to preserve the whole brand of EMR Tek. You know, I can't release these Me Too products. You know, I'd love to, in a way, because financially, especially like these masks, I'd love to have gotten into them when they were just flooding the industry, that one specific mask that everyone's selling, but I just can't do it to EMR Tek. I love it too much.
Yeah. We were talking about that before I hit record. Also, like those PEMF infrared mats, they're all made in China. Those are super popular.
We have one. I mean, I have one. They sent me those, and I just can't do it. Like, I feel like EMR Tek is part of it is I want to advance the technology, and I just feel like it's kind of selling out with these products, and it's against my kind of standards, and it's not like morals or anything, but it's just I just feel like I can do better, and I want to, and I think long term that's going to pay off. It is paying off. So
yeah. Well, I know our last show, I forget if we'd done two before this, but we did talk about ultraviolet light, and I'm excited to dive into that again and talk about your krypton and ultron lights and what's changed since then and your philosophy around UV light. I've had a lot of shows on vitamin D too, both pro and against, and now I'm kind of in a balanced place of my perspective on really all supplementation. I think saying that everything's toxic is really trendy and scaring. That's how you get clicks. Is this supplement killing you in the thumbnail, and people click it, and
yeah. I mean, it's just, this is our industry. Our industry is crazy. The health and wellness industry is like super volatile. There's been a lot of time. I mean, my company gets picked on a lot from a ton of different people, but I think that's just because we're like making better stuff in them. I mean, I don't know why, because I never like put anyone else down. I'm just like stay in my own lane. Like, I love that philosophy. Like, I'm just gonna stay in my own lane, concentrate on my own stuff. You do your business, I'll do my business. That's fine. But I get like attacked like left, right, and center, usually from like smaller companies. And I feel like maybe they just get trapped in like the scarcity mindset. But at the end of the day, there's no that our products are better, and they're, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's my perspective. I use biodegradable bottles, and I don't use magnesium stearate, and there's some upgrades that I have in mind, so that's like my standard. And if there's a company trolling me that's not to that standard, it doesn't even register, because they're just...
Yeah. I mean, I've even had like a recent company, so like I'm not going to drop the name, because I mean, even though I could, because like I can't get held for libel or defamation, because this is the truth. I just give an example. Like, there's one company that posted on my EMR Tek Instagram page saying that we didn't have third-party data, and so this guy's all about third-party data, because he has no other way of differentiating his Chinese resold product. That's the only way he can differentiate his product, was saying, yeah, but like we have third-party data and they don't. And it's like, well, we actually do. And so I of course I looked a little bit deeper into it, and so Ari Whitten, I'm not sure if you know that guy, the author of the biggest red light therapy company, or red light therapy book on Amazon, contacted all the companies. He said, okay, send your panel in to Light Labs International. This is 2.5 years ago. And so we immediately complied. I actually went back and see who was copied, and this man's company was copied. So I'm messaging this guy. I'm like, hey man, can you take this down? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, by the way, did you ever send your lamp in? And the reason for Ari's request was because all meters and all testing facilities can differ. So if we all have one testing facility, everyone says it's going to be fair, accurate, comparative like results. And so the guy didn't even send it in, and he's saying that, we don't have third-party testing, and I literally post it and show him, just go on and on. But, it's that kind of ridiculousness that I'm like, dude, Anyway, he ended up deleting his comment, but
Yeah, it's the Wild West with, whenever you get in the spotlight and you have a good product, you're going to get attacked and people are going to say things. But, so I think you told the story before on my show, but how did you get into this whole light therapy? Like, what was the thing that sparked your interest initially with all this?
Yeah. So when I was 3, I developed vitiligo, the same disease Michael Jackson had. By the time I was 9, it was super disfiguring. You know, I was called like a zebra, tiger, you know, everything with a stripe with different skin colors. Like, you know, I remember, you know, one point I was like, anytime I go to the beach, I remember one girl specifically was like, "Did you pour acid on yourself?" I'm like, "Okay, I'm going home." But like, you know, and it was really bad. My mom, through library research, because Google didn't even exist, he found this German doctor after I had tried like literally 20 naturopaths, 20 different dermatologists in the United States and Canada. I would have to put on this tar cream. It smelled like terrible. It was just like, it was really, really bad. And, it was super disfiguring. I had it all over my face, all over my neck, all over my arms. I still have a little bit you can see on my thumb. And, well, actually you can see a little bit here. I'm not sure how much you can see, a little spot there, but you know, I can't repigment my hands. That's mostly because we just wash them. They got from the soaps, the detergents, all the chemicals. There's too much reactive oxygen species. Specifically, it's, you know, hydrogen peroxide is the free radical that creates vitiligo. We have too much epidermal hydrogen peroxide in our skin. And you know what happens when you put hydrogen peroxide in your hair? It literally bleaches it. It's something similar. Yeah. And so by the time so my mom found this German doctor named Dr. Karen Schellreuter. He took me to Germany. It was a very promising therapy. Apparently it was supposed to work in 95% of people. You could take a blood test. We did the blood test. I was a candidate. And I had already grown up with ultraviolet tanning beds in my bedroom. It just wasn't the correct protocol. And so this woman had developed a cream called pseudocatalyse, and it reduced epidermal hydrogen peroxide concentrations, elevated catalase, and then you would wait 10 minutes for the cream to be effective. You would go into the specific narrowband UVB 311, 312 nanometers. That's actually what's in our Krypton product, our UV devices right now. And it literally would bring your melanocytes back to life. And I repigmented my entire body except my hands and feet. And so that's normal. I mean, no one ever gets their hands and feet back. It's like basically normal. So that's how I got into it. I grew up since I was 5 years old with tanning beds in my room, ultraviolet tanning beds in my bedroom. So I have, you know, a lot of just firsthand user experience with this stuff. When I was like 15, I started getting into working out. I used to research a lot about this stuff. It was really weird. I was like 15 years old reading like PubMed studies like about like UV light and I found out it was around that time that there were some articles that were really popular where like shining red light on your family jewels, increasing testosterone and stuff. And yeah, I mean, by the time I was 18 years old, I actually have to take a statin because I have familial hypercholesterolemia. My grandfather died at like 33 from this. And my doctor put me on transdermal pregnenolone to kind of combat some side effects she thought I was kind of having, maybe hormonally. And by the time I was 18, I had such knowledge of light and endocrine system and endocrinology that I was actually trying to direct a conversion of the pregnenolone to testosterone with phototherapy. And my parents thought I was a really weird kid.
So it was a pregnenolone thing that they put on. Okay.
Yeah, they put me on statins when I was 13, which is, you know, it's kind of rough, but you know, considering my family history and my levels and my ratios, it's pretty much necessary. Actually, I have to take an injection called inclisiran that lowers, like, I think it's lipoproteins. And so, yeah, it's pretty serious for me, but, you know, I'm medicated and hopefully I don't die too soon.
So do you think because I've had shows on, you know, I think Brecca popularized lately, like the whole genetics thing and knowing your SNPs, but it's a really complex topic. I mean, from the people that I've had on my show talking about genetic mutations and how we navigate that. Do you think that's a worthy rabbit hole for people to ever go down, or do you think it's down?
Can you explain more in terms of heart disease?
In terms of anything, just overall health, like if someone's dealing with a chronic health issue, because with your hypercholesterolemia or hyper, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, because there's, the argument epigenetics for some.
Yeah, like, they're like, the thing is like, okay, normal people with high cholesterol, that's fine, right? But like mine is like astronomically high. It's like, so like it's annoying when people are like, yeah, high cholesterol is good for you. It's like, dude, like literally, like you have no idea what my levels are. They would freak you right out. But actually, Gary Brecka posted on Instagram. He had 2 of my fire dragons in his sauna the other day. I think he's doing some collab with another red light therapy company, but I noticed them. So, but yeah,
that's cool. Interesting. Yeah, shining red light on the family jewels. I think that was one of the things that caught my attention, because I think when you start researching the problems of the world, you see the declining testosterone and the betatization of men and.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, but have you noticed when you do that, they start moving? Like they start going up and down? It's like they're alive. I don't know. But anyways, for anyone wondering, that will happen to every guy, and it's normal. Yeah, they just get excited, I guess.
Have you looked into why the mechanism of what causes that? Or?
No.
It excels or just happy, and
they're just super. They're just like, oh, this is the best. Let me move around. But it is a little weird. But you can. It actually happens in the sunlight too, just not as much. It's got to be from like the near infrared light. Yeah. But anyways, that's a topic for another day.
Interesting. Well, yeah, so many directions we can go here. I guess we'll just start at the most. So talking about ultraviolet light, I was sunburned several times growing up, and it was one of those things where, video game computer kid. My dad was a tech guy, so we had like the first computer, the first game consoles. A lot of indoor time, and then in Southern California. But then in the summer, I would just spend a lot of time outdoors and just cook and get sunburned every single summer. And since I've been into health, I've maybe burned once, but just upping my antioxidants, whatever I'm doing, the red light that's preconditioning my skin. I haven't burned my skin in years. And I think that's one of the things that shocks people, right? When they learn that sunscreen isn't necessary. I mean, maybe if you're out, if you're working outside, if you're a park ranger or something.
Only for photoaging, in my opinion. It reduces the effects of aging on your skin, but actually, sunscreen produces free radicals in your skin. So, I mean, how can that be good for you? And first of all, and secondly, like, if you actually understand the mechanism in which it's called the human photoprotective response. This is so ridiculous. So when ultraviolet B hits your skin, which, by the way, sunscreen blocks, because it's UVB that creates what's called the erythema. It's the dermal pooling, the transference of blood. That's why you can push and displace blood. Okay, you can transfer 60% of your red blood cell mass in your skin before your organ system fail. That would be a terrible burn. You'd probably have to get cortisone shots. But like, it's literally coming into your skin to harvest the ultraviolet light into your blood. And ultraviolet light is super short wavelength light. It's on the other end of the spectrum as red and near infrared light. That's why red and near infrared light will penetrate in your body, but blue and UV light, purple, so UV is purple, it literally doesn't penetrate almost at all into your body, like just a millimeter into your skin. So the red blood cell mass has to rise. So it's actually not really a burn. And then on top, it's a natural mechanism in which your body's harvesting light into your blood. And it actually, the harvesting phase happens at night, which is why you wake up less red. And it gets stored in your melanin patches, like freckles, moles, birthmarks, that kind of thing. and the light gets stored there. And so when ultraviolet B light, which you're blocking with sunscreen, hits your skin, it induces, or it generates what's called the human photoprotective response. And when I say photo, I mean photons. Okay, like sun protection. It is UVB light, which is blocked by sunscreen, induces the human photoprotective response. I'm explaining this in detail. So when UV light hits your skin, it stimulates melanogenesis, the formation of melanin. These small pigments get generated by the melanocytes. UVB is also the signal to translocate or shift that melanin to the apex of the nucleus, forming what's known as a supranuclear cap or an umbrella shield. It literally looks like a black umbrella, and it shields the DNA right above the DNA, the nuclear DNA, and the epigenetic DNA, and it shields it from the UVA. So the UVA penetrates deeper. It's going to hit that DNA. It's gonna create reactive oxygen species and lead to mutations. But the melanin acts as one, a direct barrier, and two, a free radical sponge. And when you cut an apple in half, you turn brown, right? That's exactly what's happening with your melanin. It's creating reactive oxygen species. The melanin's acting as a sponge. It's absorbing those free radicals, and it's oxidizing and it's turning brown. That's why you turn brown. And so if you're going to wear sunscreen, we have to be very clear that you're literally saying you don't believe that this sophisticated mechanism used to cope with the X factor of life on this planet is ineffective, and that you trust the pharmaceutical industry more. That is exactly what you're saying. Point blank, period.
Wow, that was great. So what about if someone's like a pirate or a sailor, or like I mentioned, a park ranger, and just out like all day, every day, just getting cooked? I mean, long sleeves, hat, that sort of stuff is, or
well, I don't think we really had hats back in. I mean, like how much like clothing did we really have? Is like you know, I mean, of course they could probably make things. Humans smart enough to be like, I'm going to get burnt. But, you know, there's shade, you know, people are smart, you know, even back then, they're arguably smarter than they were today. I mean, actually, that's a fact, right? Like, I think IQ is going down. But you know, there's no way that they wouldn't have put together to like, hey, maybe I should get out of the sun after he got smoked one time. He's like, maybe this is smart. It's like, maybe I'll go under a tree and like drink a coconut. Or like, maybe I can only spend this amount of time. They probably didn't even know what hours were, but like they'd look at the sun, they'd look at their skin, they'd be like, oh, I'm connecting these like very simple dots, and they'd get out of the sun.
Yeah, there's a lot of new things that we have in the modern world. We have sunscreen, we have sunglasses, we have seed oils, polyunsaturated fats, or just fried foods, which I've noticed. I mean, it's funny, all these festivals, you know, Renaissance fairs we have up here everywhere, and you know, they sell all this fried food and people just get cooked. I mean, I notice it.
It gave me an age spot, and I know I never had one in my freaking life, dude. What happened? I didn't know about this. Actually, I was like, I don't know. They come with age and sun. I had no idea. It's youth, and you know more about this lipofuscin, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So I didn't have oil. I was kind of lazy in this new Airbnb in Costa Rica, and I had been tanning. I knew that this was a seed oil. I was too lazy to go get some other stuff. I don't know. I was having a bad week. I was cooking with it all week. The next thing I know, I got something on my face. Yeah. So I've been like consistently using some of the stuff we'll talk about later to fading. Is working. I can barely see it anymore. Like niacinamide, alpha-butrin, and some other light therapies. But that's what did it for sure. Like, and does that make sense to you?
It makes sense. Yeah. I mean, they're not inflammatory in and of themselves, but when UV light hits, I mean, lipofuscin is photoreactive, and it's super reactive to UV light and blue light. And yeah, I've noticed it for sure. I mean, even French fries, if I eat French fries and walk, I could literally feel the sun is more intense on my skin after just having.
Yeah, and I mean, I was frying with this stuff like every day. Like I went through like almost like a bottle. I know it's stupid, but but like I went through like a bottle. It must have been like pure canola oil, and it just like oxidized in my face. And it's taken me like a year to like completely almost get it out, where it's like very unnoticeable. But I'm like convinced that like, so I'm like, I don't eat seed oils. If I'm going to go in the sun, like no more seed oils, for like 2 weeks. I do like a cleanse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been playing around with cod liver oil, which I was in the repeat thing for a while, and they hate it, and they still make videos and posts about it that cod liver oil is fish oil, but it's actually fish liver oil, and it contains A and D and other factors besides just omega-3s that make it a really unique whole food that the Vikings used to consume. So I like playing around with, like, I'm looking out my window and there's snow on the ground, and that's a fun one, but there is, PUFA content in there. And so makes sense. It's a winter food, less sunlight, more cold.
Right.
A lot of, yeah.
It's less reactive. It's not going to be as much of a problem.
Have you heard the theory that the sun is stronger now? The animals are, I can't remember the animal in the Arctic that were burning, like basically the ozone layers, whatever Earth changes are going through. Have you pondered that? Or?
I think that, I mean, I think that's probably true. I mean, like in Australia, I think they have like a hole, right? And it's like, that's why their skin cancer is proposed to be like way higher. That's also what I want to talk about with some of the safety issues with LED UV devices. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Or we can just jump into it.
Let's jump in, because when I talk about UV, I think maybe some people even asked on Instagram, tanning beds are usually, when someone hears ultraviolet therapy, UV therapy, their mind immediately goes to tanning beds. And most tanning beds, what do you say, are they a problem the way that they're designed?
Yeah, they are, because they're designed to oxidize your melanin. The ratio is not really well set up. Like I said, it's ultraviolet B that generates your photoprotective response. It's red and near red light that thickens your skin, preconditions it for UV exposure, and then also helps resolve the acute inflammation faster. So there's a lot missing from those. Those are like literally mostly UVA, designed to acutely oxidize your melanin. And generally speaking, unless you've done some tanning before, your natural human photoprotective response is not engaged. So yeah, they're a problem. They're definitely a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And, on top of that, you never know what bulbs you're getting. Like, unless you're going to go and like look at like the quality of the bulbs, where they're from, we'll get more into detail with this, but we use Philips. Philips is like the longest standing, most vetted manufacturer of UVA and narrowband UVB bulbs. They're super expensive, but I'm not taking risks like that. Especially with UV.
I don't know what this obsession with beds. I don't know if you remember my first Idaho house. I bought a red light bed, and I thought it's going to be more powerful than the stand up. And it was so weak. I would be in it for an hour and not feel the same effect I would get from us, a hang.
$100,000. You feel it on your wallet though. Like, it's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. This industry is ridiculous. I don't even know what to say. It's a joke.
What's your elevator thoughts on not only UV bed, but just, let's just say, red light beds? They're just a waste, right? Because they're not enough power output on those strips.
I mean, they're really weak, right? They're really weak. I mean, I don't get it. Some of these companies are like charging $120,000 US. I'm like, bro, like I can manufacture that for $5,000. I'm like, it's a great business. All you got to sell is like 3 or 4 a year. Yeah. It's insane. But this is the problem with our industry, and that's why a lot of companies hate me. That's the truth.
Yeah.
They're going to hate this episode.
deconstructing the myths. Well, there is a UV light therapy device that, everyone promotes that I think I've been promoting for the last 5, 6, 7 years. Starts with a S. It's one of the biggest brands, but they don't have any red or near infrared light in it. And what's kind of scary is, like you mentioned, those Philips lights. I think they're the same fluorescent bulbs, right? But they're exposed. So if that thing drops and hits the ground, you'll have a blast of mercury, right?
Yeah. I mean, you can just Google what do I do if my ultraviolet bulbs break, and it's anywhere in between like evacuate the house, and like just like it's not good, and that's the reason we put like 3mm tempered glass in front of our bulbs. But the company you're speaking about, I did look at it. So because Philips bulbs are so expensive, they have chosen to like do their own. So, it's just like, okay, well, who do we trust better? I'm even talking about my company. It's fine. You shouldn't trust EMR Tek more than Philips. Philips is like the longest standing, most vetted manufacturer ever. This is ultraviolet light. I could, okay, first of all, way more cheaply do it with LEDs. I'm talking about incredible, like it's completely different. Or I could make my own EMR Tek UV bulbs, but I just want to provide like the safest product out there, and so the brand of UV bulbs is important. Philips are the best. That's what they use. We put 3mm tempered glass in front of it. We could have used plexiglass, but that actually oxidizes, turns yellow over time. So we went with at first we used 2mm tempered glass, and it was not strong enough. So we got them banging on the glass with a hammer, and it's good now. And it doesn't oxidize. It's easy to clean. It's just, you're not going to have like a leakage and a health issue. You're not going to have to evacuate your house or close down a room in your house because, your lamp broke. And so they have like a metal cage that goes over their product, and that's just not going to do anything.
I think I sent you the one that I was using after that because I upgraded to a UVB UVA combo light. Did I send you? It was the black plastic kind of device. That's one step up from that, right? But it's kind of a similar.
Yeah, it is actually. I know those guys. They're good. They're good dudes. I gave them that idea. We used to do business together. They kind of ran off with that idea. I have nothing against them. I actually we took a little bit of a break because obviously I wasn't super enthused about that. But they're good people, and at least they listen to what I was saying.
But same thing, those are exposed, and I mean safety people generally think about. Especially with the incandescent heat lamps, that if those hit you, I made my own setup in my RV, and if that came down on my leg, I would have had third-degree burns for
bad burns. 100%. Yep. Yeah. So the reason I made these ultraviolet lamps is I saw a lot of LED ultraviolet lamps coming out, and I knew all these companies were manufacturing, just reselling red lights from China, and that they were trusting and very unlikely measuring the spectrum of what's coming out of all these lights. And so they're just throwing ultraviolet UVB diodes into their red light therapy products from China, and just trusting that these Chinese manufacturers are doing a great job of Q&A with the most hazardous spectrum of light on the planet. Yeah, so what I actually found one time was that I did measure one of these things, and it had a UVC diode in the middle of it, just UVB and one UVC. So UVC is the super mutagenic at so specifically 254 nanometers at 2.5 milliwatts per centimeter squared of radiance, which is literally nothing, destroys all viral DNA. I actually have invented a small robot that uses that exact system to destroy COVID. So that's in a therapy product. So thank God there are FDA reporting requirements for LED UVB devices, which none of these companies are doing. I promise you and guarantee that. Because they just don't know. They don't have a federal regulatory consultant on payroll to advise them of these things. This is part of the reason we use the 3 millimeter tempered glass, because actually one of the things that the FDA and Health Canada are worried about these devices is, the mercury, but also these things breaking, cutting people. And so that's where that information came from. Not even sure if they know about,
Do you use is it the Hopo color, that little device? I have a couple of them here where you can point it at a light source. Is that an accurate way to measure?
That should be pretty accurate. Yeah, those are pretty good meters. I mean, I've never used one, but it should be good. I know that company. They're pretty solid. I think it's a nice meter.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of surprising that these companies can deceive. I guess a lot of people don't invest in that. They just take the company's word for it, right?
Yeah, and you can't be doing that with UV devices. You really can't. After what I've seen, and also, so here's the thing: both of these companies that I'm talking about, they saw this one study, and it says 294 nanometer UVB light is 10 times better than any other wavelength at increasing vitamin D synthesis in the skin. But I just told you that specifically one wavelength in the UVC spectrum, 254 nanometers, is the most mutagenic, and it destroys all viral DNA at 2.5 milliwatts. The wavelength is specifically the best at destroying DNA. On the other side of the spectrum, 311 to 312 nanometer UV light, which we use, from the Philips vetted brand, is the least mutagenic. It's been shown, and it's been shown in all in the phototherapy research, to create the least cyclobutane dimers. So it has the lowest mutation frequency out of all the wavelengths. That's why it's been studied the most, because they realized this very early on. And that's why most of the clinical research is conducted with 311, 312. Not many people know that. So not only is the Philips brand vetted, but we're using the 311, 312 because it creates the least mutations in the skin. Who knows what is happening in terms of mutation frequency and a bunch of other variables, but that's the one that concerns me the most with 294 nanometers. There's like literally no data on it. We have to be extremely careful with isolating specifically ultraviolet. I'm not so worried about other spectrums of light like red, even blue. That would be the next most concerning, but I'm not worried about that too much, isolating those. I am worried about isolating ultraviolet wavelengths with no safety profiles and then applying them to the skin. And yeah, I mean, so that's kind of where and then on top of that, one of these UVB LED devices, the irradiance is different than all the phototherapy literature using Philips 311, 312 nanometers. So if we change the irradiance applied to the skin, how does that affect mutation frequency? What's the deal with that? When I saw this company, and the guy is really brilliant, to be honest with you, and I have a lot of respect for him. I think you know who I'm talking about. Well, you will soon. He released these small units, and I think they're really cool because there's actually no company other than mine that I'm aware of that's actually innovating new devices. So I have a lot of respect for him. But when I saw that come out with 294 nanometers at a really high irradiance UVB, and you're supposed to get all the vitamin D from a really short blast of a wavelength in the UVB spectrum with no safety profile on just a small fraction of your skin, immediately I was like, okay, I have to release these now, because what's the probability of that causing a lot of mutations in a small fraction of the skin? It's very high.
Yeah. Well, I could speak from experience with, because I've used, I think the light you're talking about, not consistently, but more so the other two, like torso lights.
Mhm.
And I've gotten burns, not from the handheld one that you're mentioning, but the other two. And from yours, I
Mhm.
have your small UV light over here, and I've done, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes front, 5 minutes back, and didn't notice any redness. I felt better.
Yeah, so essentially with UV, what you're trying to achieve is minimal erythemal dose. Remember when I talked about the dermal pooling, the blood coming into the skin? Minimal, that's called erythema. The minimal erythema dose is basically trying to get your skin to turn as slightly pink as possible. And so I started out with having a maximum time frame on these UV bulbs of like 1.5 minutes, and then I quickly realized that everyone's tolerating it extremely well, and we could move to 5 minutes. And so I'm not sure. I think yours probably came with the
I
5 minute
think it's
rate thing.
5. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's perfect. So when it's like that's like the good balance between this is safe for everybody and it's going to be effective, you know? So yeah,
But could I potentially double up and do 10 minutes front, 10 minutes back? If I'm not,
100%.
okay.
I honestly think that that's going to be completely fine, you know, because this is not like an acute burst of UV light that's just, and either UVB, like it's very tame. You know what I mean? This is something that you can use every day. That's not going to fry your skin. It's more of like it's better to put the ribs in the oven at like 250 for like 6 hours than like blast them like for like just incinerate them for like 10 minutes because it tastes like shit. So I use the rib analogy all the time.
Well, I remember our last show.
Well,
Whenever our last show was, you were telling me that you feel almost more of a performance enhancing benefit from ultraviolet more than red light. Would you still say that's
100%, 100%, because ultraviolet, yeah, it's way more hazardous. It's got it's you can misuse UV light like a lot quicker than you can misuse like red light, for example. But coming with that is more significant benefits, I think. And it's interesting. People don't think about this. They're like, oh, UVA releases nitric oxide, reduces blood pressure, but you can pool 60% of your red blood cell mass in your skin. And what happens when you do that? Well, it gives a hell of a lot of slack in the vasculature of your body. You just took 60% of your blood mass out. That's not going to happen. You have the worst burn of your life. It's just possible. But if you reduce your blood volume, for example, by 5%, like what's that going to do to your BP? I mean, it's not only, and that's from UVB. People don't understand that. Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, that's
This is why my parents.
okay.
This is why my parents thought I was a real weird kid. Because I was literally talking about this when I was like 17. My parents are like we're gonna have to put him in a mental institution.
Well, it all worked out, I think. So,
Yeah. Actually, the crazy thing about my company, both my parents work for me. My mom's my director of operation. My father is my CFO. My ex-girlfriend is my CEO. And I have two friends and actually two of my buddies that are my employees and one of my tenants. It's like a little family. It's really crazy, dude. And people say, don't do that, but I actually find for me, it's the best thing to do.
that's amazing. Yeah, it's important to have a good team and people that you can trust. So
Mhm.
so UV, vitamin D, that's usually the connection that people make, but you just mentioned blood pressure. I mean, obviously there's beta endorphins, there's
Yeah,
all these other
that's right.
things going on.
That's really interesting, right? Because UV light releases beta endorphin. We're literally designed to be addicted to sunlight, and definitely it increases mood. It's pretty wild. That's one of the best benefits of UV light. It increases mood. So,
And people associate that with vitamin D and generally vitamin D supplements, but it's more so the beta endorphin.
100%. 100%. And it's pretty instant. You know, if I'm feeling super down, I just go blast myself with UVB light. And it's really amazing. It can change your day. It can literally change your day.
Mm-hmm. Well, when I used to be into the debates, and I'm not anymore. I mean, one time it was a 4-on-1, 4 repeat pro D people against me at the time, anti-vitamin D person. And I just was cornered, and it was a disaster. But
Did you do that on your podcast?
It was on someone else's show, but I generally don't think those go anywhere. Debates and trying to convince, people don't change their mind generally. There's egos involved.
Yeah, they don't.
But I don't know. My perspective now is that there's a place for vitamin D supplementation, especially for people with genetic disorders that can't make D3 from UV light, which, I don't know what percent of the population that is. I'm guessing it's a pretty small percent.
Well, I think there's always like benefits to risk reward ratios for like any supplement you take. It's like with melatonin, like you're going to get a better sleep. I love using melatonin. I sometimes I can't sleep. I'm using melatonin. I'll use it at a really high dose. And I sleep like a freaking baby, the next morning I feel good. I don't really, to be honest with you, I don't really care it's not super damaging at all. I don't feel like it's like that, but there's probably some things that are like not so good about it. But the fact that I can sleep and I wake up rested and is like way outweighs that. And I think it's probably the same with like most supplements, it's like, yeah.
There's a lot of vitamin D. I think gets the most, and I think there are more important supplements than cholecalciferol for sure, or calcipodiol, because you can actually buy the 25D now. It's a company that sells that, Develop, where you can take the form that, because I think a lot of people are magnesium deficient, and the problem is when they take D3, 100%. And I saw this during COVID, they get heart palpitations, go to the hospital. I've literally talked to a guy on the phone because they're just already K2 and magnesium deficient. They're taking maybe IV tons of it, or just megadosing oral. And magnesium makes that. There's cofactors to all this stuff, right? So when you take an isolated supplement, you have to kind of be aware, okay, what's it connected to? And
for sure. And that's kind of cool what you do, because I know you put a lot of information out there, and I think it's good. I think, at the end of the day, it's just some things benefit some people, and some people should be taking different supplements. I'm like sure of that, I know I use melatonin whenever I need it,
Yeah.
I'm not scared about it. If I couldn't make vitamin D, like most doctors probably would agree that you should take it. If I like my vitamin D are low, I'm in Canada. I'm literally, there's no way I can get it up. I'd probably be interested in taking it,
Have you had people message you measuring their levels, 25D, and then showing you increase after using your lights?
Well, they're so new, no, but I'm actually in the process of doing a clinical trial with a medical doctor in the USA. His name's Eric Nager. And so with my federal regulator, we're constructing with this medical doctor essentially a clinical trial to literally measure that exactly. So, and here's the thing, it will work. I just, to what extent do I have to increase the irradiance to get better results? Do I have to put thicker, more powerful bulbs in the units to get better results? We're gonna figure that all out, But in the literature, they're using the wavelengths and the bulbs that I'm using, and that's showing results. So it's hard to get much closer to a promising product that has no clinical trials. You know what I mean?
That's exciting. That's really cool. Um, so I know when you eat carbohydrates, it increases your metabolic rate, assuming you have protein coming in as well, and that increases your requirements for pretty much all nutrients, B vitamins, uh, vitamin A, etc. Where I'm going with this is, have you looked into which nutrients UV light, whatever term you want to use, burns through, depletes, uses up? Because
I actually haven't.
I know it's like folate and vitamin A. I know the two that for sure.
It burns them.
Not that it harms them, but it's the processes of
Uses them up.
vitamin D. It's using them up more. Yep.
So you need to supplement. You potentially would need to supplement a little bit with that.
Yeah, and I think yeah. I know there's
That makes sense.
I mean, I know there's that deep relationship with the vitamin A and the RXR and the VDR receptor. So you have the vitamin A and vitamin D relationship.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure it breaks down vitamin A into retinoids, retinoic acid, all that stuff. But
you are the expert on this stuff. This is your. I'm not even gonna try and talk to you about this. I don't think.
Well, that's why it's a fun subject. There's just so many areas to it to talk about. It's kind of cool, but
yeah.
So you have we're gonna get into some more questions here, but on EMR Tek you have three. So you have the Krypton. It's like your small unit. What I have here, slightly bigger, and then you have a full body, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, actually, it's crazy. The last Christmas around this time, I was contacted by Khloe Kardashian, and she actually bought. So he bought 6 of my Firehots for like all her sisters and her mom, and so like they all have one, like all of them, and so basically I put narrowband UVB that creates vitamin D, and I put broadband UVA into the Firehawk with these Philips bulbs, and so now we have like that product now upgraded with UV light, and then we have basically our Infernos and our Fire Dragons, which I think you have the Fire Dragon one, similar one, just with the Philips narrowband UVB bulbs. Those are the longer ones. So I wanted to make more UVB than UVA, and that's why it's not so damaging to the skin, because the UVA ratio is very low. The small bulbs are the UVA, so it's nice to get. I love tanning. I love tanning in the sun. I like to have a little bit of color. I feel like it's aesthetically pleasing, but I don't want to absolutely destroy my skin to get that. So it'll give you a little bit of color and it'll make you glow like a little bit, but we're not trying to destroy our skin in the process. We're just looking for like we're talking about, like the risk reward ratio. Yeah.
Well, I know so your Ultron, where you added the UV lights, that's like twice the price of the red light one. What do you say? It's better? Well, I guess you could use it without the UV lights, right? So it is kind of an up.
You can. And the reason for the high price jump, it would not, honestly, I could have done, it would be the same price as my Inferno if I used LEDs. So believe me, I was like, really like, oh man, like how am I going to compete with these people who are just, using LEDs and have no idea what they're doing, because I don't have the time and to like express this completely, like, and go around just preaching about like this stuff. So like, yeah, I mean, we literally, the Philips they're so expensive. Like one of those bulbs in the Krypton small one. So one of them is $100 USD. Okay. So, it wouldn't have cost any more. Like, yeah, it's a lot of money.
Yeah. Are you going to sell? Well, I guess you could just buy those.
Yeah. I won't charge people replacement fees, and like if it breaks,
right?
Yeah, 100%. And like you can see the back where you can like take them out of the side and stuff like that for like easy replacement. but yeah, I mean, it's just they're expensive, so that's why the price reflects that. But just another thing is we even use electronic ballast to reduce the flicker in those bulbs because you go around to like any tanning bed, you're going to film the bulbs in slow motion. They're going to be like blinking. That causes central nervous system dysregulation, as well as like epileptic seizures. But our eyes can't notice it, but our mitochondria do. So
yeah, the last few conferences I've been to, I've learned my lesson because I come down with whatever it is, the bioweapon, or my immune system tanks the last few times I've been to like a show in Vegas or Anaheim, and I wasn't wearing glasses like you are now, and just under, it's almost like Costco or Target or these stores, but just all day long. And
yeah, it's bad, man.
I've learned my lesson the last few times. I'm definitely wearing at least yellow tinted glasses the next conference I go to.
For me, it's well, like okay, well, we can talk about it. Like Matt knows, I've had like addiction issues. I'm sober now, but I've struggled with that. The main reason that I use blue blocking glasses is because blue light dysregulates my dopamine, and I need to, because like it's like life or death with me. So it's not like, okay, yeah, like do my eyes get tired because I'm an e-commerce founder and I have to work a lot on the computer? Yeah. Does it feel like it's draining my energy and sucking the soul out of my body through my computer? 100%. But really where I've noticed the biggest difference is the regulation of like my central nervous system. I feel like well, blue light is addictive, and social media on top of blue light, they're two addictive components. One, they're both releasing dopamine, and it just, I feel, I don't know how to explain it, like, but I feel like, it's not like, screwing up I feel like if I'm looking at a screen I'm more susceptible to like relapse and stuff like that, which kind of makes sense, So,
What? It's a good segue because I think I made a YouTube video about this like 6 or 7 years ago when I was my RV days and sun gazing and supplementing tyrosine and phenylalanine and the aromatic amino acids. There's a UV connection, right? Like if somebody's not getting UV light, they're always wearing sunglasses, they're not getting outside enough, and they're deficient, like say they're vegan or maybe vegetarian, they're deficient in tyrosine and phenylalanine, they can't even make dopamine and thus L-levodopa, right? And those conversions to make.
Yeah, and I mean, like, so definitely getting sunlight. Like when I was back up in Canada, I'm in El Salvador right now, like I was struggling, with just, I don't know, my brain was just, my mood was really struggling, and the UV light can really help. I think even addicts, improve their mood, like if they've had an acute relapse and they're feeling terrible. UV light and blue blocking glasses is an amazing thing. And to be honest, man, I haven't told you about this, but I'm opening a retreat center. I hope you're going to come down for one, because I'd love to have you send me right on the beach. But I'm actually going to transition that into a rehabilitation center. And it's going to be right on the beach for the grounding, for the sun gazing. We're going to teach them about quantum biology. We're going to protect their eyes. We're going to teach them about how social media is just regulating their dopamine receptors and blue light. And because I think it's a missing component in addiction rehabilitation. So
that's amazing. That's super exciting. Yeah, we kind of talked about it at the beginning, and I'm sure you still deal with it. I still deal with it. Trolls. I used to troll and I stopped. And it's just, and that's the addictive part. It's like fighting. Why do we watch MMA and UFC and all? It's like, it's the
like Mike Tyson.
Yeah. There's so many good memes about that. Going out to the chicken coop at night, it shows his butt.
Dude. Yeah, he is. I mean, I think that thing was rigged, but go on. are terrible. Like people are like, you know, like I posted, I'm like, this thing was rigged, and like some guys like it's harder to fight like a real fight. I was like, dude, I was like a professional fighter, and my ex fiance was the 5-time World Boxing Organization featherweight champion. I know about boxing, I know a little bit, and I still think it's friggin' rigged, you know. So
20
I
million
mean,
is
that's
a
by
big chunk of change. Yeah.
dude, and everyone and people are like, yeah, like Jake Paul beat him up. I'm like, Jake Paul just let that guy retire and never have to worry about money in his entire life. Like I look at it a little bit differently. I'm like, like that didn't hurt Mike. Like Jake's little like what was that? Like what was that like triple jab? I'm like, that's bad. Anyways, we don't have to make that about.
Well, after that, you know, I don't watch sports, but after that, I looked up Jake Paul because I had never looked at this guy, and I found his YouTube, and I watched his house tour. It was like 3 months ago, like $20 million house. And sometimes I just like to see, like you mentioned, Kardashian. I just like to see how these people are living. And I mean, to me, it looked like hell on earth. But I'm always curious to see if they're doing anything for their health. And it's usually very basic stuff like an ice bath, a sauna.
Yeah. I should reach out to Jake Paul and see if he wants an Ultron, or maybe So
They'd probably take it. But yeah, going back to social media, I mean, my whole point, what I was saying is people are addicted to gossip and trash talking and fighting and bickering and, you know, picking sides and camps and tribes. And I've just seen that literally nonstop the last 4 or 5 years.
It's so bad in our industry. Our industry, I don't know if you find this, but our industry is the worst. It's like the worst for this. Like, I'm like, can people just stay in their own lanes and just like enjoy your life? Like, enjoy your life. Like, it's okay to just like concentrate on your own stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Well, I think it proves the dopamine dysregulation, and the people that are into all that stuff and into the infighting and stuff, they are the worst, you know, mentally. They're addicted. Dopamine's dysregulated. They need your lights.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going into the winter here. I mean, I don't know what the UV index is, probably down to 1 or 2 daily. I can see right now. Yeah, it's currently 1. Yeah, so I'm at like a 1 UV index for probably the next 2 to 3 months, and so I'll be playing around with your UV lights.
Yeah, let's talk more about that. We'll see if we can do maybe we could do like some blood work on you.
Yeah,
my mom owns a blood lab, so
cool.
Maybe we can just use her lab.
I've done the at home. There's like Omega Quant or something, but I just don't like that you have to slice your finger to do that. I'd rather just get a needle straight in my arm, just get it over with.
Yeah, dude, for real. You know, also the thing with the blue blockers, the craziest thing, in my opinion, is like it's like raising your insulin, your blood sugar, and HB1AC. I actually am not 100% positive about the HB1AC, but I feel like I did read that on some study. I just looked it up the other day, and I can't. But like, it's actually like you're mainlining sugar. It's literally like you're like have an intravenous like hook up to like a sugar water. And
I feel like there's you probably see me under blue light, and it's one of the companies we mentioned, but it's like a circular, but it has some near infrared with it. And to me, like on a day like today, I'm not going to see. I mean, yeah, the sun's always out. There's always infrared, right? But as far as UV and blue light, there's not a lot out there. So I like using it, especially around noon time at my office desk.
Just wakes you up.
Yeah. Do you think there is benefit to a well-made? I mean, for people like me in Nordic land, in the north, do you think there's a use for? And I'm not talking about the cheap sad lights, you know, that promote for your bedside, but for a high quality, you know, white or blue light where the flicker is managed and it's using some red or near infrared.
I actually don't really know. I never really looked into blue light too much, so yeah, that'd be the fairest analysis. I really don't know. Not sure.
What do you think about?
I don't really.
What do you think about the female?
Oh, dude. Well, oh yeah, let's talk about that. I know I was talking about that. I was talking about this yesterday. Yeah. So so this is just another example of like an unregulated industry that just people don't know what they're doing. And so I looked into this like 5 years ago. And there's products out there already, even at that time. It's a class 3 medical device because of its invasive nature. The claims on this website are astronomically inaccurate and just strange, just downright odd. Like I'm like, do you actually like believe this? Like it's just absurd. And I mean, there's probably a huge marketing. I felt really uncomfortable, like having somebody put one of my products that's electrical inside their body that has like light, kind of like literally like basically like it's like a electrical thing that they're gonna put. Like, what happens if that malfunctions? Like, who's building these? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't sleep at night with that kind of thing, you know?
Some people probably don't know what we're talking about. So there's brands that you put basically a wand into the one who put it into the.
Let's call it a wand. Yeah. Call it a wand for now. It's a wand. Yeah, it's a wand.
Well, what's interesting, the whole light industry, like down here, I have you heard of the company Weber Medical? I feel like they're one of the better ones.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But I have their helmet, but then I'm probably going to give it away or sell it because, and I'm not losing my hair, but it was just more for the neuro that I was playing around. Yeah. Say I have the V light and they're always upgrading their stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of marketing around targeted. Obviously, there's the ones that wrap around to that one brand where you have the red lights that you can wrap around body parts.
Yeah.
Starts with an S.
Yeah, I know.
But you can get a lot of, where I'm going with this is you can get a lot of benefits just standing in front of a panel, right? You don't need to have it like that targeted onto.
No, you don't. And it's a complete waste of money, in my opinion. I mean, like there's a reason why if you go on my website, we don't make any claims on our products. And we're one of the fastest growing companies in the entire industry. If not the best. Like, I actually think that like finally I'm getting the recognition that I deserve for the products that I'm creating. Like, and of course I would be biased, but I actually believe that. Like, and I think a lot of other people do as well. Like, I get messages coming into my company like, "Oh, I love this mask, but I know you can make it better. When are you going to release yours?" Like, stuff like that. Like, almost every day, people giving me ideas and like things to like, "Hey, can you manufacture this and that?" Like, yeah.
You have great products. Yeah, I remember one of your like when you came out with the Firewave or Firestorm. Oh, I can't remember what it was. Maybe 5-6 years ago. You were talking about the distance and how far you can sit away from it, and you don't need.
Yeah, and like contact. People are saying like, "Oh, they're too powerful." And this is one of my. Bro, I'm like, okay, well, did you also know, like, I'm sure this guy knew that if you go farther away from the lamp, your radiance decreases and also the surface coverage increases. So how is that a bad thing? Just step farther back, get more coverage, and like it's just such a like ridiculous thing. And also it's like they're like, you didn't design this and blah blah blah. Well, okay, look at the Firehawk and look at the Ultron. Clearly, I've been designing these. I literally have a picture. I drew the Firehawk on the back of a Cocoa Puff cereal box like 4 years ago. I literally had the exact design. I posted on Facebook. I don't know what more I can do, but I'm not trying to do anything. I like let the products. And here's the thing: like, look, like these other companies just say whatever you want. Go take a look at my Firehawk. Go take a look at the Ultron. And look at the level of manufacturing, the difference in quality and the level of manufacturing, and just make your own decision. That's all I can say.
What would you say, like one argument I've heard about the Firehawk or your big devices is you're just red light therapying the walls, like, because you're not going to hit the part of the body. But is it just, I mean, you're just drenching the body in light at that point versus like just like your Inferno or something like that. Like,
Yeah, well, I mean, the Firehawk was the first laser acupuncture device in the entire world. It's my invention. It's patented. It's the first laser acupuncture device, theoretically, in the entire world. And for people of the specified height range, the cob chips, the integrated cob chips lined up with the acupoints or meridian spots of the body. This is I'm just trying to create stuff that's potentially going to improve the industry in terms of the technology moving forward. Like and what is a little bit of light wasted? Like, yeah, okay. Yeah. Like maybe like it's on every single device. Like it's so, dude,
we're not square.
Here's the, dude, okay. Exactly. Like how is honestly like that says it all. Dude, that's great. Let me use that. That's hilarious. That's so funny. But like the problem is all these companies, except the one that we talked about, which you're probably using right now, which I literally give some credit to. And the guy's always been cool with me. We've never talked, but he's never said anything bad. He seems like a pretty good dude. All these other companies are just reselling devices that are already made. And the only way that they can differentiate their product is by bashing other people's stuff. And like, for example, like, oh, like I have a guide that tells you how to treat different conditions. It's like, well, first of all, so now what? We're practicing illegal laser medicine? Like, really? Okay, cool. Well, and then also it's like, we don't actually know that, like, it's not conclusive at all. Like actual like data showing this amount of light for this amount of time is going to produce this benefit. It's just complete bogus. We need a lot more research for anything to be conclusive, but they'll use these asinine ideologies and arguments to differentiate their Me Too product. And they'll go as far as to go on your Instagram page and bash you for something. And under the guise of integrity, dude, it's bad. It's real bad. And at the same time, when Ari Whitten asked them to send their light in under the pretext that it's going to be fair and accurate for all companies, they decline and do their own third-party testing. It's like, bro, it's bad.
The craziest thing I saw, and I lost a friend over this, literally lost a friend because she was the partner of the owner of this company that starts with a J that all the biohackers promote. And that company that starts with a J sent legal letters, cease and desist letters to several red light companies for infringing on their invention of hanging a light on a door or something. Yep. And that's
exactly what it was.
That's where I kind of drew the line with that company and cut off that relationship, because I'm not into legal threats. Aren't cool, especially when they're to my friends.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I never received that letter. But this is part of the problem with not staying in your own lane. When you don't stay in your own lane, people get kind of mad, and then it snowballs, and it's like, so I just, I'm not going to get involved with any of this stuff. Trust me, I've wanted to. I wanted to call people out. I wanted to do it. I easily could have done it on this podcast, but I actually talked to Sarah Kleiner the other day, and she's just like convinced me down off the ledge, and and it's a good idea because no one appreciates someone else talking poorly about another person. It's fine to address the industry, no name calling. Let's not pick on anybody, but it just makes you look bad at the end of some stuff. As much as I kind of want to, I'm not going to do it.
Well, realistically too, I think with all this stuff, no matter what situation, it's usually only 5 to 10% of people that are even aware of it. So it's kind of a waste of time.
That's what she said.
Usually. Yeah.
That's what she said. That's literally what she said.
From my experience, I just ignore it and laugh, and it just goes away. And it's with, sewing. It's just doesn't matter in the end.
Oh,
They're wasting their time. And yeah.
Matt, I told Sarah that I'd drop her little app on your show. I hope you don't mind. It's called My Circadian app on Instagram. And it's pretty cool. I've been using it to track my vitamin D levels, and that's why I thought it was kind of applicable for both of us. So it literally shows you based on your latitude how much vitamin D you're making. It gives you prompts as to when the sun's going out. You just got to plug in your location, when to put on certain color shades of blue blocking glasses. You can measure lux, like the lux of even red light should be lower than 10. For optimal melatonin release. And so it has a little camera. You can use the camera on your phone to measure the lux in your environment. And so anyways, I told Sarah, they're one of my favorite people. In the
I might have
world
had her on the show to talk about it. Yeah.
I think you should, man. She's actually she's like the best. So I 100% think you should. She's super knowledgeable, by the way.
This sounds like an upgrade from D-Minder. Is that accurate?
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And it's super cheap too. I think it's like $3 a month. So it's like, yeah. And actually I just talked to her today, and we're going to try and integrate into the app how to measure how much vitamin D you're making with my lamps with the app based on irradiance and lux and stuff like that.
Oh, that's awesome. That's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, up here, I feel like it's funny, like listening to people on Instagram, especially in the quantum health world, like there's not a lot of advice for people like me in a northern latitude. I mean, there's some, but I feel like there needs to be more talk about North Idaho type of environment.
Yeah, it looks really beautiful up there, to be honest with you.
I wanted to ask you, about ambient lighting, because I interviewed the Sauna Space guy last month, and he was talking about his little glow thing, the incandescent, that you could bring that with you, but it's just so bulky. Like I almost did it on my last trip to an Airbnb, but I just didn't have room in my luggage. And I'm looking at your Firewave. It's probably more practical because I just brought a bunch of bulbs and I switched out.
Well, those, yeah. I mean, you can bring my Firewave, and they're really easy to travel with, and people cross customs with even the Inferno and stuff. They'll stop you and ask you what it is, like especially at Firestorms, it's like an alien shit. But yeah, they'll let you pass. But the best thing to do is really just get those red bulbs. Those red bulbs, they're like $20 on my site under indoor lighting solutions. $20. To be honest with you, I always tell people this because I think it's true. At least for me, those bulbs and these glasses, not even the red ones, just the yellow tinted ones. These are the Havoc transparent on my website. But like 2 of those bulbs and then 1 pair of these glasses, the yellow lenses, they're gonna do the most for your health out of everything on my website for most people for the cost. They'll change your lighting environment so much that it's amazing.
Yeah, I'm setting up.
And what?
Oh, go ahead. No, I'm setting up a whole 130 acres, a new mountain. And I had a podcast on why and stuff. But I mean, one's more acreage. But it's just funny looking at the guys I'm working with, the contractors, the carpenters, the builders. And a lot of the time they'll buy supplies and they bought all the lighting for the cabins around the mountain. And I walk into the room and they're like, yeah, we got lights in. And it's like, like covering my eyes. Yeah. They're so harsh, the flicker and, just Home Depot garbage, LED. And so I've been looking at recessed. I just love the color changing ones. And there's a lot of cool options on the market now for healthy indoor lighting.
Yeah. And besides just covering your eyes when you're on a screen, like at nighttime, at night, I like to watch some TV and just wind down. I usually probably watch Vikings like 20 times, but you just put the red light bulbs in and you put these on, and they don't distort the color of the TV. It basically just looks normal, but you got more melatonin production. You have a better sleep. It's such a cheap way to hack your bedroom and just your screen time. So it's totally worth it.
Yeah, for sure. And I
Go
ahead.
I can talk about my new sub company of EMR Tek that's coming out. Not the robot that's coming out too.
You coming out with a humanoid robot?
I have a robot. It looks less like a humanoid and more like a Zumba. But anyways,
I'm gonna need something for EMR. I'm gonna have 8,000 square feet to clean up by next winter. So,
well, like remember, like 2.5 milliwatts of 254 nanometer UVC light kills all viral DNA, including COVID. Well, this robot will literally go around vacuuming your house and also disinfecting all the knobs and stuff in your entire house. And since UVC light is toxic, it's got like a motion sensor on it. It's just like powdered. But anyways,
I'm gonna be your top affiliate.
Well, you probably already will after this, to be honest with you. And got savage Blackburn. But I remember when you didn't even try last time, and you're like, we analyzed the sales. I was like, oh my god. So it's called Light Fusion by EMR Tek. And remember how when I was growing up, I had to put a topical cream on my skin that reduced the hydrogen peroxides, increased catalase. Then I would go in the light, and that combination is what actually brought my melanocytes back to life. So for a long time, I've known that there's this interesting intertwining of potential cosmetics and light therapy. And so that's where the light fusion name comes from. It's a fusion of cosmetics and light therapy. And so there's a study, for example, where scientists applied green tea soaked cotton pads to the face of women, and the women that had their green tea soaked cotton pads applied to their facial skin prior to 670 nanometer, which is deep red visible light, compared to control, realized 10 times faster skin rejuvenation. Okay.
Wow.
So there's there's another study that confirms specifically green tea there is some synergistic benefits. There's 3 studies that show coenzyme Q10 enhances photobiomodulation. Turns out you can topically apply coenzyme Q10. We got that in there. That's actually available on our website right now. Then in Asia, they have been using red light for skin whitening. Okay. So, and they like to maintain very like white skin. And so they use it for skin whitening. So, there's a ingredient that I've been using to take out this age spot that I got from the freaking seed oil and oxidizing my face. Is called niacinamide. And it's a very powerful bleaching agent. So we got that in our serum, but now I'm coming, and this stuff's all made in South Korea from one of the biggest manufacturers over there. Every single certification you could think of, like over 150. And South Korea is the hub of cosmetics. Everyone's crazy about South Korean skincare. I knew this a long time ago because I was actually friends with the owner of Decium Cosmetics. His name is Brandon Truax. He unfortunately died. It's a really long story. We can talk about it a little bit. But basically, they just got bought by Estee Lauder for $1.3 billion. Yes. And we're supposed to create long story short, he was kind of ousted as CEO from that company because he was a little crazy, but my friends have always been. And essentially, we were supposed to fly to Morocco and start this new basically skin company because he'd just been ousted from that company as CEO, and he had nothing to do and just a lot of money. And we were supposed to expedite our passports that morning, and he died that night. He literally fell off his balcony and was dead. But So he told me to manufacture my cosmetics in South Korea. That was like 5 years ago. So we were on that before, but essentially red light is good for collagen elastin synthesis. It stimulates mitochondrial function in the fibroblasts that punch out, more collagen and elastin. So we made a sheet mask, like, those white masks that like they have the eyes cut out and like women just put them on or women and men probably, but more women. So the one that goes with red light is like something that increases collagen and elastin. It has hydrolyzed marine collagen in it. It has vitamin C that helps collagen synthesis, and just different things that increase collagen and elastin synthesis from a topical standpoint. Then there are emerging research. So now it's actually not red light that's used for skin whitening, because emerging research is showing that it's green light that's used for hyperpigmentation. This is what I've been using on my face, in combination with niacinamide and alpha-L-butrin and a couple other blunt and bleaching agents, essentially, to take out this age spot. And so we have this other mask that's a bleaching mask that goes with green light. Then there's, for example, yellow light that's really good for redness and, irritation. And so we have like an aloe vera soothing mask that you apply before using the yellow light. And so essentially we have coinciding sheet masks made in South Korea that for whatever skin problem you're actually currently facing, based on the scientific evidence that's available. So yeah, I think it's really cool. It's going to be called Light Fusion by EMR Tek, and our mask we've invented. It'll be out within 2 months. Yeah,
wow,
within 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I've been working on it for a couple of years. Yeah, like a year and a half, because I wanted to release a mask, and there's probably a lot of money I left on the table with this. It's the best selling mask. All these companies sell it. But it sticks right on your face. So you got to clean this thing. And mine sits 3 millimeters off your face. So it doesn't come in contact with your face. It's a lot more comfortable. It's still made of silicone. So it's not one of those hard masks because they're really uncomfortable. But also, like, if you're going to apply a topical to your face, you don't want to like push something against it because it's going to get like kind of sticky and like residue and stuff.
Well, it's funny you bring that up, because I have I'm sure you're aware of that, more of a practitioner brand, starts with CEL and it's longer, but they have the ones that wrap around the face, and I have the full body one. Do you think those are, I mean, what I notice is when I lay under it naked, with especially the full body one, it's not very practical because that plastic material is just in direct contact with my skin, and it gets pretty hot. So it's not very.
Yeah. And you don't. Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing. I like every single person, because I've tried them on like a lot of my employees, these masks, and they try the other one too, because of course they sent us the bestseller that everyone resells. I've had it for a couple of years now, and they all choose this one because they don't like it right on their face. And it's going to be a huge selling point, just that it's really off the face, 3 millimeters. And it has to be with what we're doing. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm still
one. I know the one I mentioned that's flexible, it has like they have a stand where it is, but I think it's off the face way more than 3 millimeters. Yeah.
Right. And it's just, I mean, you can't watch TV with that. So like we have, like, you can my employees literally watch TV. It's got something that separates out the eye. And we actually left blue light out of the mask, because this is another thing with the research for my federal regulatory agent. There's a Neutrogena recall for blue light face mask to do with blue light that was causing some issues with people's eyes, and they had a full-blown recall. And so we don't use blue light, but that's just some of the research that goes into when I'm creating a product, Yeah. I mean, my mom, Kenny, who works for me, they love just putting this mask on and watching TV. It's like you don't even have it on. And on top of that, we're going to have one coming out probably in about 6 to 8 months. It's an upgraded version. It's going to cost quite a bit more, but it's got vibration, microcurrent technology in it, all different kinds of stuff.
Have you ever messed around with the violet ray? If you see me using that, the plasma, the Edgar Casey as a Tesla coil.
I've never heard of that. I think I have probably heard of that, but I think I've seen you using it on your stories.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a pretty cool little device. Like you can zap acne with it. It's basically energized.
Is it like blue light?
It's energized plasma. So it's argon noble gas, and it's energized with high voltage. A lot of people in the quantum world probably wouldn't like using it because, but it's the one I have is literally beeswax in it. It's the old school invention. So you don't use it for longer than 10 minutes because the beeswax will melt inside there if it gets too hot. But it's incredible. I use it on my lymph nodes.
Well, that'd be fine for you because you could just go to your outside to your little hive. Don't you still have that, right?
Beehive? Oh no, I failed at beekeeping up here. I'm gonna try again probably, but maybe make them like an electrified place where I have heat lamps or I don't know. It's
what happened to them.
Everyone I've talked to up here, it's just hard to overwinter bees, and a lot of people will get bees from foreign bees, like from another state or something, every year, and just bring it outside, which is not sustainable, obviously. So that's one of my main goals is to get that down.
It's you're one of the cool things about you is like you just like you've done stuff that like no one's done, dude. You have like a really crazy ass life. It's pretty cool. I have a lot of respect for you for just the shit that you try. It's like absurd and super cool.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's a lot of work too, man.
Yeah.
But like you help a lot of people with like showing people that like some of this stuff is possible to do, and like it's pretty cool, man. I really give you props for that.
Really appreciate that. Yeah, thank you. It's only going to get crazier building a pyramid capstone next year and building out a bunker. So
it's cool, man. I'm gonna have to come down one minute and hang out.
You have to do it. Yeah. Well, I don't have goats anymore, so you can't wrestle my buck, but be some animal, something out.
Yeah, sure. They're crazy goats. Pretty wild.
They're the weirdest creatures. Yeah. They use their urine as cologne. I mean, some people in the health community do that, but I mean,
Oh yeah, that's true, right? I've seen that. That is a little disturbing, especially like the aged urine drinking. Like, let's just the main way I like to use this is rubbing it all over them. I'm like, dude, really?
Well, urea topically has benefits too, right? But I wouldn't pee and rub it on my skin.
Bro, and let alone age it so it's literally like 3 times as dark as that. That's got to be vile, bro. Like, oh my god, bro. Like, anyways, this disturbing is what I.
So I do have listener questions from social media, but one question I forgot to ask you, I can't believe I forgot when we were talking about dopamine and everything. So eye safety with your lights, with specifically the UV, like forget the red. I know there's regulatory and, you have to be careful what you say. But I know, there's definite benefits of UV for the eyes, right? I mean, definitely it's like a nutrient.
Yeah, with synthetic UV devices, you're not going to want to do that. You got to cover the eyes. But, personally, when I was growing up, my mom would always be like, make sure you wear your goggles, like freaking out all the time. Mm-hmm. I ended up just closing my eyes. And I was fine, but I'm not recommending that to anyone. Like the safest thing to do and what I recommend for my products is to wear goggles. But and yeah, that's what I can say.
Because the way I have yours set up, I think it goes to like my chin or something. And so it's not full body. So I usually just, it's indirect in my eyes. And that's kind of how I use it.
I mean, like, from a personal perspective and my experience, closing the eyes is fine. But from like a business perspective, I got to recommend that people use goggles. And definitely it's not okay to just open your eyes. It's like that's not okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah. Let's see. You might have answered a lot of these already, but do people of color require a different amount of vitamin D due to melanin?
I actually don't know. I don't know. There's just certain things that I just haven't figured out or just read or come across. And I would assume that, yeah, I would assume
vitamin D to UV, right? Do they require a different amount of UV exposure due to melanin?
I mean, they probably do. Yeah. I mean, yeah, because the sun's much stronger in the environment that they were born in. You know, who knows if they're like, they like mutate to whatever extent to like accommodate the environment. But, you know, I got to think to some extent that they require more sunlight. I think that's actually like, okay, so there's this guy called Nick Norwitz. I don't know. Have you heard of him? He's like a Harvard. He's up and coming. Oh, dude, I got to get this guy on the podcast. I'm going to hook you up with him right after. He just coming on board with us as an affiliate. And he's a Harvard grad. He's also a doctor and he's got a PhD. He's 28 years old. He's like the new thing in like the metabolism community. He's like the up and coming dude. His YouTube channel in like 4 months has grown to 120K in like 3 or 4 months. So he's pretty serious. But he thinks that, you know, people of darker skin, especially like African American, a lot of the reason why they'll get put on the same diets and they don't do as well is because of potentially the light environment that they're in, that they're just not in the environment that they should be. And because like I was talking to him on the phone the other day, and I'm probably gonna mess this up, but like actually I probably won't, but I think I remember what he said. So like white women and black women were put on a low carb diet, and like everything else was the same, and the black women responded much worse to it. Like it just didn't really work as well for them. And the reason he's getting involved with light and quantum biology is he thinks that there's a component to this that, you know, they're just not in the right environment that they were like literally genetically supposed to be in terms of like the photon yield.
Yeah, it's interesting because up here, obviously it's like 95% Caucasian. Like I'll see like a darker skinned person at, you know, out and about like once a month or less. And I think there is something to be said about living in an environment that your genetics are adapted to, right? Your ancestry.
I think so.
I'm like 50% Italian, 50 to 60%, and Northern mostly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like maybe this is just a thought, but like maybe it's like a white person can go to like a higher quantum yield environment, but it might be a lot worse if a darker skinned person that needs a high quantum yield environment goes to a low quantum yield environment. That's just my kind of hypothesis, just based on nothing, because I love that. Just my opinion.
Yeah. Well, it's a good segue because, and I kind of alluded to this earlier, but what's the best protocol for someone living in a gray zone most of the year? And I guess they mean like gray skies, like I'm looking out right now. And I mean, my input is devices help a lot, right? Like we said, indoor lighting, dialing that in, red light, sauna, UV light, using them at the right time, blue blockers, or having a nighttime routine where you're not getting blasted. Would you agree with that?
Man, if I was like in Canada right now or something, like these things are a lifesaver. Like you'd want to use the UVB like a little bit. Like, well, my Karen Schellrider, the doctor that helped me with my vitiligo, said I should use it in the afternoon because of the UVB. But I mean, you can turn off each individual wavelength. You can only use the red light, and you could do another session with red light. and UVA and UVB in the afternoon. That might be what I'd do. But, these things can significantly improve the way you look, the way you feel. I mean, red light therapy is one thing. When we're introducing the UVA, the UVB, it's giving you a little bit of glow from the oxidation of the melanin. It's giving you like a little bit of a glow from the slight erythema, the minimal erythema dose where you're turning slightly pink. And then the beta endorphins you're getting, the increased vitamin D. I mean, these things they can really make you feel better. I'm not just telling you that. It's literally my life experience that I'll literally, if I'm having a bad day and I feel depressed, in Canada, sometimes I don't even want to get out of bed. I'm like straight in my UV light and it helps.
Yeah. There's, I haven't researched this in a while, but there's like lumisterol, and I used to have a chart saved. It's somewhere in the archives of all of the compounds, vitamin D related, that you make from the light, and people just focus in on the cholecalciferol, but that's just one of there's at least over just 50. It's something crazy.
That's a good like segue too. Like it's like, yeah, can you get your vitamin D levels up from taking supplements? But like, there's probably so many like biological and biochemical processes that occur apart from vitamin D, from like UV exposure. So it's like, and you're just kind of like bypassing all of those. So we don't, essentially there was one study, I think that they talked about, they came to understand that it wasn't unregulated vitamin D levels in the body that were causing like arterial calcification. It was dysregulated vitamin D activity in the body. And I mean, potentially that could be from supplements, but it also could be from like, it could be from a lot of things. It could be from like using synthetic devices. Like, who really knows? We don't really know.
Yeah. The calcification.
I kind of tend to doubt that. Yeah. I'm sure you know a lot about this.
Well, I kind of edited my CLF protocol because, it's too low or too high vitamin D's, and usually too high you can get from supplementation. I think it's really hard to get from UV light exposure.
Because there's a cap. Like there's like a cap on it. Like it like self-regulates and stuff. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. But parathyroid hormone, that definitely, you want that balanced, because that's affected by vitamin D status, and that is what increases soft tissue calcification. If it's too low and you think vitamin D is a toxin, and you avoid the sun, or if it's too high and you're megadosing like on the Coimbra protocol or something. So yeah, it's a
go ahead.
Oh no, that's it.
Yes. So actually there's one study, there's a lot of studies that show narrowband 311, 312 increased vitamin D, but there's one that stands out specifically because I think like the conclusion, I remember it like almost exactly. It said in vitamin D deficient individuals, and I'm not making a claim that this is my lamps are to treat vitamin D deficiency. It's just to support natural vitamin D production. That's also a regulatory thing there. In vitamin D deficient individuals, I think it was in like a 2-week time span, using narrowband 311, 312 nanometer UV. I think it was Philips, but I'm not 100% positive. 70% increase in the individuals in vitamin D status. Yeah.
2 weeks. Wow.
2 weeks. It actually could be a lot lower than that. I'm saying, cause I think I remember it was 2 weeks, but it actually could have been after like a couple of exposures, like 2 or 3.
Wow. Well, what's cool is I can actually, and I'll send you the data if it happens. I don't know if you've seen my Oligo scan. So it's basically
spectrometry.
Yeah, so it shoots light under your hand and it's looking at tissue levels. And it's based on a Brazilian guy's reference ranges. I think it took him 12 years or something to invent, but it's a software, uses light, and then it looks at your vitamins, minerals, metals, and it's super accurate. I mean, you scan back to back and they're identical. So it's not a quantum read. It's a scientific accurate measurement.
Is that like a photo multiplier or something?
It's called spectrophotometry. And so it's the device it's what's used to color match. So the device is only $300 on Amazon, and you could scan a color and digitize it. So it'll get the exact shade on your computer, but they use that technology as a diagnostic tool.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Beer-Lambert's law states that every known compound absorbs, emits, or reflects light. And so it's using that for our nutrients. But the reason why I brought all this up is what's cool is it shows your vitamin D. It doesn't show every nutrient, but mine's been chronically low, not like bottomed out, but chronically low. And it makes sense because I've been living up here 4 to 5 years. And I do get out in the sun in the summer, but I don't get much UV. So I'm going to start using your light maybe every day. And
well, I hope to get you an Ultron, dude. We got to figure out how to get you an Ultron. I think, yeah.
Let's do it.
Well,
yeah, that'd be a cool, I mean, it's different from a vitamin D test, but to me, I like that you don't need a needle and it's reproducible. And I haven't seen my vitamin D budge, so it'd be really cool to see if your device sets.
So, well, I'll help you with the timing. We'll figure it out a little bit more intricately.
Yeah. Last listener question, and we'll start to wrap this up.
Sure.
Mitigating eye damage from all-day screen use. And you kind of talked about that earlier, because blue light increases reactive oxygen species, right, in the retina?
Yep. Especially 450, like approximately 450. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and it's funny because there's a lot of nutrients that help mitigate.
It's a little funny. It's a little funny.
Everyone's eyes are getting fried. It's hilarious. So
we are laughing. So, right.
I mean, you look at how everyone's mood dysregulation and honking and trap. I mean, the world's a mess. I mean, that's just small examples, but I think it's safe to say that humanity's brain as a whole is not fully functional. And,
yeah, that's one way to say it.
And, cubicle jobs, now COVID, everyone working from home, screen times, and now kids learning from screens, right? I'm sure it's just exploded the last 5 to 10 years. And
all the kids are addicted. I mean, but here's the thing, Matt. I think, and like, yeah, you said something about the beginning of the podcast. I think it was about how much like video games used to play. I used to play video games like crazy, but it's definitely helped me in e-commerce, like navigate computers and stuff. I think, so there are benefits of it, but I see these kids playing video games all freaking day, and it's just like, yeah, I mean, but that's what I did, and it worked out for me. But
Elon Musk, like hard fan, apparently. I the last Diablo game I played was Diablo 2, but now I think they're on 4 or something. He said it increases the reaction time and stuff, and I think there are real benefits to it. Yeah.
Well, if Elon Musk said it, I mean, I'm gonna have to buy Diablo, dude. With yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the most was it controversial? People get so emotional about these characters, and like, I don't have any emotion in it. Who knows what they're up to if they're sacrificing to Moloch?
Yeah. I know, right? Like, it's like I really like. Yeah, who cares? I'm just trying to enjoy my life, Like, just don't sacrifice me, please. Like that would be a really bad way to go. Like, yeah, it's like, Chris, you're getting sacrificed to like this demon today. It's like,
at least let me use the Ultron first. So I feel good now.
Yeah.
But wrapping up that question, like yellow lenses, right? Office worker. Niacinamide orally. I'm a fan. 500 milligrams, 2 to 3 times a day, split up. I like vitamin E. I like vitamin C. All those are very basic protectors from retinal damage.
I love vitamin C and vitamin E. I'm a big fan. I actually have. I'm actually going to take some after. I use the emergency, but I'm going to start getting your stuff. I like vitamin E and vitamin C and magnesium. That's basically all I take.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 That's a great, I mean, people overlook the basics. They tend to go for fish oil, coenzyme Q10,
Yeah, right.
oral supplements.
I don't take that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't take the fish oil. No.
Yeah. Well, Kris, this was awesome. So EMR Tek, and how long is your Black Friday sale going on?
Yeah, well, sure, Matt. So we'll hook you up with a 35% code because I'm going to change it to 35. So let's just do a Blackburn 35.
That works. Cool. Appreciate it.
And
yeah,
I'll
this will
create
go
that right
live.
now.
This will go live Friday. So yeah.
Cool. Perfect.
Yep. That's great.
35% off store wide. Yep.
It's very generous. Appreciate it.
No worries.
Yeah, thanks for all that you do. I love all your research and how in-depth you do and how passionate you are about it. And it's cool that it's spreading. I think you were saying even the president over there is using your light.
Yeah, the President Bukele. You can go check out my Instagram highlights. And yeah, it's he posted on his Twitter about the thing and his Instagram. It was crazy. I had so many El Salvadoran people on my website. It was absolutely insane. It was nuts.
That's
his Instagram is not fake.
Is Bitcoin like a legal, like official currency over there?
Yeah, I mean, I don't use it. Like Bitcoin is not like it's not my like god, you know. Like, but you know, I am starting to invest more into it. But yeah, you can like pay pretty much everything with like Bitcoin here. I'm pretty sure.
To me, it's kind of fun. Don't dairy. I made a lot the last year with it because I just put a little bit in and it just exploded. Probably sure no, 100x my. But I feel like it could be crashed at some point. So I feel like I'm not going to hold it forever.
Yeah, well, you know, also like part of the reason why I didn't invest in the past in Bitcoin is because like I lose a lot of shit, dude. Like I'll lose like my headphones and I just like sometimes I forget my passwords, you know? And yeah, dude, exactly. So, but there's this new thing, and I'm just talking to this guy called Parker Lewis about is a thing called Unchained, and I've been referred to it. And they kind of help you with that. Like there's safety checks in place. So like if you're like mine's not fully functioning like mine, then you know you don't lose all your money.
Yeah. Yeah, it's smart. Yeah, I know Ledger has some fail safes. Like it's a little, you can have it offline, which is cool. But then there's like a code thing where if you lose the little USB thumb drive, you could put in these codes. But then what if you lose the codes?
Exactly, dude. And I'm 100% lose those codes, bro. I'm like, if I like, there's like, eventually I will lose my code. That's 100% guaranteed. So this Unchained thing is like for people like me.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Well, the mask 2 months. What about the robot? How far away is that? In robot.
Oh, dude, it's just like expensive to manufacture. The battery in it, it's just like, you know, Elon Musk.
Optimus. I think Optimus is like 2029.
I don't know, dude. I emailed Elon Musk, but he didn't get back to me. I've emailed him 3 times. So, God, come on.
We have to fight him on Diablo.
Well, actually, so he can fight me instead of Mark Zuckerberg, you know, and like, that's gotta happen, dude. They're hilarious. People are hilarious. They're hilarious. Like who, like whether like Elon Musk is in a fight, it's legitimate. They're actually like serious. Like posting pictures of like Zuckerberg in the gym and they're like a BJJ gym. Like I'll fight you anywhere, anytime. Like Elon Musk is like talking. He's like, yeah, I'd kick Zuckerberg's ass. Like it's not even like gonna go around. Like I'm just like, are you serious?
Are people still I haven't been following. Are people still freaking out about because I'm on Starlink here. And without it, I would be struggling a little bit. So it's a great invention for people like me. But I think they're worried about it's just increasing the microwave oven strength, right?
You know, yeah, I'm like done worrying about that stuff. You know, I feel like I reached a place that you did, like like with like the sugar thing. Remember, you were like, you know, I'm gonna eat some French fries, dude, because like I have a life and I'm a normal human being. It's like, dude, I used to, this is sad. I used to have tinfoil on the back of my bed because the cell phone like tower is like blasting. And I'm
I've
like,
been there.
hey, it worked. Yeah, it worked. But like, dude, like I like, first of all, it's kind of hard to explain to someone when you bring them over. Like, are you, it's like, yeah, I'm insane. It's like, look, you know? And so, and also it's just like not fun to like be that crazy, you know? So I'm just like, whatever, dude. It's like for this podcast, I'm using some Bluetooth. I don't care. You know, I'm not going to use it after this. I'm going to go just take a walk or something, but like, you know,
Yeah, recharge.
go live life.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Moderation, even moderation.
I love it. Well,
Yeah.
this was awesome, brother. It's always fun to catch up. This was kind of overdue. I feel like we should be more consistent with these. So
I'm down.
maybe when you come out with the face mask, we'll do a launch show.
Let's do it, bro. I'm 100%.
You just changed it to explicit. I have to add that.
Well, I was like, I just realized in my head, I caught myself like halfway through, but it's still, I was like, and then I was like, oh, wow, I've made it through the whole podcast without saying that. And I'm like, no, it had to happen. All right. Take care, Matt.
That's awesome.
Thanks a lot, brother.
Stick around as we close out the show. Thanks, Kris.
Cool.
So right after interviewing Kris, I upgraded my Krypton 606 watt unit to his 1612 watt unit. And I'm not sent devices like a lot of other influencers. I pay for my devices that I promote. And if I like them, then I share them. That's been the case with Kris's products for several years. I've been using his different red light products. His skincare product is great with the little ampules. That's really innovative. And they're just really powerful lights that he creates. But his UV lights are by far my favorite product from him now, the Krypton series. And I've been using the smallest Krypton that he sells, which is great. But I like to hit from basically my reproductive organs up to my neck, just to make sure I'm hitting everything, thyroid to testes, basically. And full body is even better because you're hitting everything from head to toe. But I'm excited to upgrade to his larger, basically the second product before you go to the huge one, full body that he sells. And I'd imagine that this one will fulfill that want of hitting everything. What's cool is you could actually daisy chain them. So if I want to hit from head to toe, I could actually stack my small one on top of this big one and get the full body coverage minus probably my arms. You know, it's not as wide as his biggest unit. But what I've noticed using it so far over the last several weeks has been increased energy, better mood. As Kris and I talked about, the benefits of ultraviolet light go far beyond just vitamin D benefits. That is one small aspect of it. And we did mention the beta endorphin, but there's also just a lot of other stuff happening, which I'm actually interviewing a woman named Sarah in a couple weeks. And I'm going to pick her brain on this because she's been studying it for a long time and get more in depth on the benefits of UV light. I think it's fascinating, especially for someone like me, North Idaho, northern latitude. There's not UV light for the whole winter. And so this is definitely a way to make the winter easier, not only mood and energy, but just brain function overall. I mean, it's essentially a food when we're talking about red light or UV light. But I do agree with Kris that the performance enhancement benefit is stronger with ultraviolet versus red light. And ideally, you just do both. But if I actually had to pick one at this point after experiencing both, it would probably be the UV light. And I have the Oligo scan. I've had a couple of shows with Jeff Leone with different practitioners that utilize the Oligo scan spectrophotometry test. I have no financial ties to them. I just promote them very heavily, but you can find them at theoligoscan.com. What's cool about that test is you don't have to slice your finger with the at-home tests that really hurt. You don't have to prick your finger. You don't need a needle in your arm. It's using light to see the vitamin D stored in the palm of your hand. And almost everybody I've scanned has been low in vitamin D, myself included. And I've even played around with supplementation, and that hasn't increased it on that scan in my tissues, which it takes a while to build the tissue levels generally, especially if it's a lifelong deficiency. And I'd imagine I've probably been deficient in it for most of my life. So I'm excited to see being consistent with Kris's Krypton light if I can raise that level. And I'll be sharing that vulnerably on Instagram, whether it works or not. So EMR Tek is having a Black Friday sale, I think through November. So it's EMR-Tek. And the discount code is actually Matt Blackburn to save 35% on his products. And it helps support me and the show, Mitolife, and everything I'm doing. Love his products. Highly recommend jumping on one of his Krypton lights. And his blue blockers are great. His cosmetic green tea, little collagen ampule facial serum. That's a great product called Starlight Revive. He just has an awesome website with a lot of innovative products. He's not just rebranding stuff like other companies. Then my website is matt-blackburn.com. It's a slow revamp, slowly working on making everything look better, easier to navigate, all of that stuff. But on there, you can still find my CLF protocol and all of my recommended products. I have my top 9 on the front page there. And then if you click view all or the shop tab, then you could see a huge list. I think there's over 100 products on there that I've used over the years, and most of them have discount codes. And this time of the year, I like to Christmas shop early. So with Black Friday sales, I usually order from the same companies that I promote. And if friends and family can use one of the things that I talk about, then I just basically buy it in bulk and share those as gifts. And that's a great way to spend money instead of waiting right before Christmas to shop for people. And what better gift than to improve their health? Mitolife is going to have a Black Friday sale. That's my supplement company. You can find that at mitolife.co. Sign up to the newsletter or follow us on social media, specifically Instagram, the Mitolife account there, to stay in the loop of when that's happening. Really close to releasing my new probiotic formula. Been getting a lot of questions about when that's going to be back. What's cool about that one is I added something called bacteriophages, and it's a trademarked product called Pre4 Pro that's essentially a prebiotic. They're really complex, but proven in their benefits. They're a prebiotic that isn't starch-based or carbohydrate-based. So for people that have really sensitive guts, you can still get that prebiotic effect with none of the downsides. And it improves gut microbiome diversity. It's been found to decrease inflammation. It reduces pro-inflammatory cytokine interleukin 6, which is an inflammatory marker. This has a lot of really cool effects that we'll be sharing more about. I made another change to it. It's mostly the same. You still have the Bacillus coagulans, subtilis, and clausi, those 3 spore-based strains. But I made the capsule, it's called Dr. Caps. It's an acid-resistant capsule. So it travels further down into your intestinal tract, and it's going to have more of a benefit deeper in the intestines than just opening up in your stomach. That should be back in time for Black Friday. If you've been waiting on the Purely K, that's the vitamin K product, that's one of the most underrated supplements. Over the years, I've bashed cholecalciferol, vitamin D3, because the amount of K2 that is often found in those products it's just not enough to really make a dent in K2 deficiency. And if I had to choose between supplementing D3 or vitamin K2, it would be K2 hands down, because I can get vitamin D from the sun or from like the krypton UV light. But most people are deficient in vitamin K2, and that is evident in the rampant calcification in our society. That's very obvious how people are acting and thinking, current status of humanity's brain collectively really taking a beating. And I think a lot of that is mismanaged calcium, which that's one of the main factors that K2 helps with, but it also helps with ATP production, bone health, cell signaling, the mitochondrial health. Most people have mitochondrial dysfunction, and K2 in various ways protects the different complexes, whether it's 4, 3, 1. It helps with the whole process of electron transport chain. And the name of the game is really mitochondrial efficiency. If you can make energy efficiently, then you will experience health in the various tissues and organs and glands in your body. So I really feel like vitamin K2 is an underrated, missing supplement in our society, and that's why I have it just by itself without D3, just to really get a good dose, 2,000 micrograms of MK4, and then 400 micrograms of a really high quality menaquinone 7 form. So that is all for today. I will see you guys next Friday. Stay supercharged.